everybody, and welcome back to Lindsay's Little Library. So I'm here today to talk to you about the books that I read in December. There's 10 of them. Like, what? It's the craziest month of the year, and I somehow crammed 10 books into it. You wanna know how that happened? Because I didn't do much while I was off of work. That's how that happened. So here we go. First book I want to talk about is Girl 11 by Amy Suter Clark. This is one that I randomly picked up at the library, did not know much about, and kind of totally a cover pickup, and I ended up loving this book. 4 stars. Basically what we're doing is trying to solve a serial killer mystery. So we're gonna leave it at that because I went into a blind and I am so happy I did. So you should go into a blind. The next one I want to talk about is One to Watch by Kate Stayman London. This was a Book of the Month Club book from last summer, which I'm happy about. This is a contemporary romance, I guess I would call it. We follow Bea Schumacher, who is a plus size fashion blogger, and she decides one night to kind of go to, I want to say like Twitter or something like that, and basically call out this show called Main Squeeze. Think Bachelorette type show. And she calls them out and basically is like, how come you don't have representation of diverse bodies on the show? And they're like, true, why don't you come and be one of our contestants and be on the Main Squeeze and see if you can find love. So she does, she goes on it, and we go from there. There's parts of this book I had some problems with. Overall, I would say more of like 3.5, 4-ish star read. Still very good, but could be a little bit better. Next one I want to talk about, I've listened to Yearbook by Seth Rogen. I gave this one, again, 3.5, 4 stars. Hilarious. I like a good memoir that I can just listen to while I'm walking the dog, taking the kids to school or whatnot. He is so funny, and it was just him. It was like we were having a chat, and it was fantastic. So the next book I picked up was actually a NetGalley book that I had. It's The Midwife's Secret by Emily Guinness. This one is historical fiction, dual timeline. I'm trying to think of the time period it took place in, and of course it's like escaping me, but we have present day, we have a number of characters. There's multiple perspectives in this book, but mainly there's this estate that is kind of going up for sale to be developed. And one of the developers or architects, project managers, whatever you want to call them, she is kind of heading up the project and is uncovering some things about this place that weren't necessarily known. Specifically, there's a graveyard on it that she needs to investigate, and some history. So then we're getting the historical perspective of what happened at this place that involves a little girl going missing at one point. There is 2 main families that are involved here, and I did have to reference the family tree a number of times. That's kind of my only thing I maybe didn't like, is there were a lot of characters, so that family tree was super helpful just to kind of keep it straight on what timeline we're at and how they're all connected back to each other. And it all really stems from the decision that a midwife makes one night, helping out a family. So it was really, really good. I enjoyed it. A classic historical fiction that I like. It had all the check boxes of what I loved, and I gave that 5 stars. Next one I picked up was actually a book exchange book from last Christmas. Krista gave me this book, Mr. Dickens and His Carol by Samantha Silva. Basically, it's Samantha's fictional take on what she thinks Charles Dickens went through while he was writing A Christmas Carol, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. It was a really great Christmassy time, get you in the spirit. I loved how Samantha wove in the different characters from A Christmas Carol and how they were maybe inspired by these fictional characters. It was really, really, really well done, and I enjoyed every minute of that book. Next one I picked up was another library book. I know, who am I? Nature of Fragile Things by Susan Meisner. This takes place during the San Francisco, they had earthquakes that turned into this huge, really bad fire in the early 1900s. And so we follow Sophie and kind of her experience with surviving this, going through this, and then the aftermath. There's lots of family drama, and it is fantastic, and it went places I wasn't expecting, and I really, really enjoyed it. So Susan Meisner, she has yet to let me down. Nope. The next one I picked up was The Holiday Swap by Maggie Knox. This was this year's December book of the month pick that I picked for myself. I know, I read the book that I chose in the same month that I got it. Shocking. Anyways, I picked this up. It's a really cute, Hallmarky, contemporary romance that takes place over Christmas. It basically follows two twins. We have Charlie and Cass, and they decide to switch places for the holidays and live each other's lives and go from there. So it's a disaster, as it should be, but it was fun to read about them, their reasonings why they switched, what they learned about themselves. It was really, really good. I enjoyed it. I think I gave it 4 stars. And then in one day, less than 24 hours, I finished The Unwanted Guest by Sherry LaPina. This I read during a snowstorm, and it is about a number of people who go to a hotel, a weekend retreat, who get stuck in a mountain lodge during a storm, no power, and, people are dying. So talks about that, and it was really, really good. 5 stars. Next book, I picked up another ebook from NetGalley called Little Souls by Sandra Dallas. This one I also gave 4 stars, and this one is a historical fiction that takes place during the Spanish flu in Denver, Colorado. So we follow our main characters. We have 2 sisters and then kind of an adopted sister, and you figure out how they got to the point where they're at. One of the sisters is a nurse helping fight the Spanish flu. And there's some complicated situations that arise because they take in, I think her name's Dorothy, and they take her in as her sister. They were actually her parents were renting a room in the house that the girls live in, and to kind of learn more about what happened in her past and how she got to this spot and the impact that the Spanish flu has on their community and then on their lives specifically. I enjoyed it, toying between like a 3.5 and a 4 star. Still a really good read. There just were parts of it that were just not up to my standards, which that's okay. It was still a good book. And then the last one that I finished, squeaked it out right on the last day, is The Golden Couple by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Buchanan. This was a book I listened to early. I got it through Libro FM. Links below to all of this fun stuff. And this one, how do I explain this one? I love me some Greer Hendricks and Sarah Buchanan. I can't even say their names. They are a writing duo that just is able to create these stories that are beyond messed up, but you can see what and how and why all of these different characters are behaving and acting and doing the things that they're doing. This really centers around the golden couple. So we have a husband and wife who appear to have it all, and everything is fantastic and grand, and there is an affair that happens, and they seek help from a therapist who has lost her license, and she's kind of gone rogue, and she kind of has her own little 10-step program for them to complete in order to kind of set their relationship straight. There is way more to it than that. That is the tip of the iceberg, and there's a whole lot underneath the surface that goes into this book, but it was fantastic. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the audiobook. It was really good. So I had a really pretty decent reading month considering it was 10 books. If I had to have one that I would really, really want you guys to pick up and read, I'm going to say I would go with either The Midwife's Secret or Girl 11. Those are the ones that are kind of standing out to me as being like shining stars of the month. So what are my plans going forward? I am slowly getting through the book 13 by Stephen Calloway. And I don't know where I'm gonna go from here. I shouldn't say that. I have a few books that I have to get through this month. Where they are, no one knows. Anyways, a few book club books that are somewhere over here that I need to get through, but considering how slow of a start it has been already in January for me, I mean, we are at, what is the date today? The 7th, and I have yet to finish a book, which is, I should be like a full book in almost 2, which is my normal reading pace. And so I am just a little bit slower. It's just work has been a little bit crazy coming back into the new year and getting stuff started. So I don't know what's coming up next for me other than I have the Warsaw Orphans that I need to read, and another book club book is kind of on the docket. But I will let you know at the end of January what I get read. Otherwise, how was your reading for December? Any good books that you read that you want to get on my radar, or any of the books that I talked about that you want to chat about in the comments, find me there. Otherwise, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.